In a previous video, I spoke about the differences between strategic foresight and strategic planning and how they've changed from the past into the present into the future. The logical next question that I always get from an executive or an owner of a business is, well, that sounds great, but what are the practical applications? How do we frame this in a way that my team, my board can understand this so we can actually begin to take action? And I said, well, I've created a very simple way of looking at this, and that is that you look at the 3 C's, and that is that the future belongs to those who are conscious, who are curious, and who are creative. Now, when I say the future belongs to those who are conscious, what I mean by that specifically is that those who are conscious of what is going on in the external environment. Too many organizations and industries focus on what's happening in their business, in their industry, or what's right out their front door. They're just stuck in that box. They're not thinking about what's going on in the rest of the world. And this creates tunnel vision, and this is a major problem that organizations have, especially when it comes to planning for the future. And the number one reason is because they're going to rely on internal industry experts who are blinded by bias, and it's going to create a future that is based on the baseline assumption that things are going to continue moving in the same direction that they always have. Now, the second part of that is that the future belongs to those who are curious. Once you have a better understanding of the way the external environment is changing, how various things going on in the world are creating new context of what your business might be, you have to be willing and able to ask the tough questions. Several executives I sat down with and members of their team get very uncomfortable at first when we start to ask, how do you know that your products and services are going to be relevant in the next 5, 10, and 15 years? And several of them have to be very honest and say, we don't know. We don't know how it's going to happen. And so asking the tough questions, being curious about the way that the world is changing to have a better understanding of what your organization may look like is key. The third part is that the future belongs to those who are creative. Being able to ask the tough questions is great, but then putting that into action is the most important thing. Finding new ways to reinvent your organization so that you become more adaptive to different changes or anticipating disruption that may completely change your market, change your business, change your target audience. This is the creativity part. This is the most important part, to say, now how are we going to make sure that we continue to grow and to evolve as the world changes? How do we anticipate that and stay out ahead of it? These are the 3 areas that organizations need to frame for themselves in order to better create the future that they desire.